you know, I would say pay attention to when you feel a certain way. Like people always say, like, listen to your gut. And it's like sometimes, like, whenever you feel, when you start to question yourself, and it's usually someone else trying to change how you feel about something. So it's called like fucking with your head and stuff like that. And so if someone wants you to change something, they're going to try to fuck with your head and get in your emotions and your feelings, which when you're just being yourself, which is what God wants, you know, you're doing what you're doing, but that whatever you're doing, you know, Satan or whatever might not want you to do. So Satan's huge thing is trying to fuck with people's head about stuff. Like, no one just bends over. You know what I'm saying? It's not this, nothing's unfair. Like, no one ever just gives away all their money in a sense or whatever it is. But like, my head's been fucked with as much as other people's, if not more. And like, when, think about if you're like captive or whatever it is, like all you are is around this fucking kidnapper. Like there's actually a psychological principle that says a lot of times they start to identify with the person that's kidnapped them because they're only with them. And it's like, think about what that person goes through mentally and emotionally over the course. Like, you can see yourself changing. Like, you think there, everyone on this life, like, that has done bad stuff or whatever, the ones that have actually done the bad stuff, everyone's sinned, but the ones that have actually gone the distance. And then he's like, so you think the other people weren't subject to the same shit, though, by Satan and other demons? It's like, they try to make you crazy. They try to threaten violence. They actually do violence. Like, you cannot let that change you. Like, you don't think people that turn homosexual or whatever it is, that they don't have thoughts like, oh, this feels wrong, I don't like this, but then their head is fucked with. Like, they try to change, manipulate how you think and how you feel so you can start being the way they want you to be. And like, a lot of times throughout my life, one thing that I've come to realize is like, they always try to make me feel bad, like feel bad for being a bitch and stuff like that. And it's like funny for me because it's like, you realize like, as much power as Satan has and as much knowledge and shit that Satan has, like, you would think, well, since Satan can fuck with my head, Satan is God in a sense. Satan knows everything. And it's like, in these illustrations that I'm giving you, it shows you though, like, they don't even know me. Like, they don't know how to get to me because I guess I'm so fucking strong that it's like, in other instances with some of all these other people that maybe have done worse or continued to go bad or whatever it is, or teetered a lot. It's like, they know how to trigger the person. Like, Satan knows how to trigger the person, to entice the person, what to say to get him to do that, because I think they're kind of like walking on this earth as like more subject to, you know, bad things or whatever. Like, they're in a sense more like moral slash immoral people. And for me, it's never been about that. for me, I've never been like super moral or super immoral. I've never been like addicted to sex, really. Like, yeah, I got into sex and shit like that and porn or whatever, but there's never been anything that has, you know, I'm just different. I have my own interests, and so whatever they try to do to fuck with my head or whatever, like it doesn't work. That's why so much of my life has been about violence, which is really just perversion and threats and stuff like that. Like think about it. Like Satan tries to do things, but what gets this person going? And this, that, and the other. What if the only thing that you give Satan, because I believe that we do have a choice at a certain point, what if the only thing that you give Satan, that you say, okay, here's what it's going to take, is violence? Like I'm aware that Satan right now and recently has just wanted me to think that, oh, like a lot of this has been about my obedience. Like honestly, when you really look at shit, a lot of it has been about my obedience. So it's like Satan wanted me to think that I need to be obedient with what's going on, but there's actually something else going on. And it's no different than trying to turn someone into a homosexual. It's like no, that Satan is trying to influence me every single day, and he's trying to cover it up by saying you need to be obedient to what's going on. And it's like I'm not fucking retarded. This is stupid to me because it's mental trying to mentally fuck with somebody to get them to change, to get them to suck a dick. It's no different. It's no different than that. And it's like, one thing that I think that they think's bitchy is like when you say, when they do all these like sexual perverted shit, like you have to understand, it's like, okay, well, what have I done in this segment of time that's going to require me to ask God for forgiveness about a sin I just committed? And that to them is bitchy, right? Because they all want to burn in hell with, they want everyone to burn in hell. So by separating their sin from my own, that's being a bitch. And obediency would obviously mean to, you know, give back their energy or do perverted shit back. And it's only because I know what they're doing is wrong. It's so blatant. You know what I mean? If it were a fucking hot guy, like just out of nowhere, like usually hot guys never act like perverts, by the way. But say there's a really fucking hot guy, like I wouldn't mind. I don't think making eye contact with an attractive man is a fucking sin. I don't think that's a fucking sin. I want to get to know hot guys that aren't perverts, but it's not going to be anytime soon. But I know you're a pervert and you're doing perverted shit, and to be obedient would be to me go along with your shit. And you know what is sickening about that is that that takes it a lot more than obedience. That means that you and I are like the same person. When you're asking another person to be obedient, it's really not obedient. It's a lot deeper than obediency, and it's not a normal exchange between two people. It's like you guys are smothering each other. You're like one person when you're having to ask another to be obedient. I don't even think obedience is really in the classroom. Like, well, you were obedient in the classroom and stuff like that. And it's like I was learning in the classroom, which is a benefit to me. Think about it. In the classroom, no one's being benefited but me. Someone's actually getting paid to benefit me. So I don't know if you can actually say I was being obedient. Like, honestly, obediency is for fucking pets. Like, everyone's so obsessed with obediency. Like, my dog has to obedient me. What does that even sound like? Yeah, your dog has to jack you off. My dog has to obedient me. Everyone's so fucking obsessed with fucking obediency. Think of, okay, paying your taxes. It's like, yeah, because to work here, like I have to give the government some money as a privilege to work here. Like it's just a lot of things. It's just like, I guess the point is that Satan and the demons, you know, in order to get me to burn in hell, I obviously have to be obedient, which is their pet. And by not following along with this, you know, book, like this is the book that I'm not following along with, not playing along with the book. It's causing a lot of fucking conflict in the fucking book. If you haven't been able to fucking pick up on it, it's causing a lot of fucking conflict every fucking day because I'm a fucking bitch. Because I'm not obedient. I don't remember the last time I had to lay my head down and motherfucking ask God for forgiveness over anything. God doesn't fucking care if I'm a fucking bitch. But think about what Satan wants. Satan wants you to lay your head down at night and ask God for forgiveness for my unwillingness to be obedient to Satan. God. That's how much my head is being fucked with. Where God is God, where the real God is now God, Satan. And my last words at night are asking God for forgiveness for my lack of fucking obedience. Think about that. Think about that. What's going on through the day where there's only God? You know, the minutes before I go to sleep at night, there's only a God, the one that invented and created me or whatever. It's not God, because I'm actually a real thing. It's God. And it's just like that's a huge thing to get somebody to actually, you fuck with someone's head enough to a deep enough extent where there's going to be no more conflict throughout the day because you're following along with the fucking book that you're not writing. Someone's writing your character for you now, and you're a participant in that. You're obedient. It sounds a lot like the Holocaust. And there's no more conflict between you and God, which is life, which is everything that involves from the minute you wake up till the minute it's God's book that God's writing it for you, and it's all about obedience. There's no real God anymore. You don't think that's having someone's head fucked with? It's like, but don't you hate this conflict? God is all over. God's all over creating all this conflict because you're not obedient. So you need to go pray about it. You need to ask God for forgiveness. And tomorrow's a new day, and we're going to start being obedient, and you're going to let God write your story for you. And you wonder, and you don't think that this God is a really selfish God? God is really fucking selfish. You're asking for a little bit too much, God. Like you just are. Because you're asking for the fucking butthole. That's too much. So glad that people joined. It's like, this isn't a rant, this is real life. It's like, what don't you get about that? That this is how you think people just wake up one day and say, hey, I'm gonna burn in hell. Like, hey, like I'm just gonna like go stick my finger in a little kid's butt. Maybe the first time, right? Like, even I'll give whatever is the benefit of the doubt, or I don't know how to describe it, but I do believe that some people are kind of like, you blame them, but it's like they stuck their finger in one kid's butt because they're kind of like sexually deviant or whatever, but then they kind of was like, oh God, I ain't never doing that again. Like, that's really bad. Like, they actually had to touch the fire to realize it was hot, right? Like, you can kind of forgive that. I'm sure God could forgive that, right? Like, some people have to touch the flame to know that it's hot. whether it's that they get arrested or that now they're a sex offender, or maybe it's public humiliation, maybe it's internal feelings of guilt, like whatever it is. Okay, so maybe there's some people that actually would do that unprovoked. Like Satan didn't have to do anything, really. You know what I mean? It was the fact that Satan exists that it happened. Okay. I'm not even gonna blame Satan, right? Because I'm obviously supposedly born a sinner. So it's like I just felt like I had to go stick my finger in a kid's butt. But that's not like to continuously end up doing that though. That's where your head starts getting fucked with. That's how Satan is getting some people, has gotten some people to be demons and stuff like that. Because I think, okay, like I can understand why somebody might do this one time or might do that one time or whatever it is. But it's like the perpetual doing of it that's like I think makes you become a demon. And how do you think you get there though? But Satan fucks with your head, changes your heart. That's what I'm talking about. Where you start feeling bad and you question and all this stuff is going on that you're not even aware of, and then all of a sudden you think and you feel differently than what you did 10 minutes ago or a week ago or a year ago. If you ever are wondering why you're different than you were a year ago, look, think about all the things that you've been thinking and feeling about. And a lot of times it's hard to understand. Like for me, for instance, it's like a lot of the stuff Satan says to me is that I'm not obedient. So it's like wanting me to feel bad that spoke out when you weren't spoken to, or that you raised your voice. Yes, feel bad about raising your voice. And that's the only voice in my head though, is that voice saying feel bad about raising your voice. God's not coming down and saying, but wait, you don't need to feel bad. Like I have to do that for myself. And if I don't if I show fear, if I'm not rational, then I'm gonna start motherfucking stop. I'm gonna stop raising my voice when I feel like there's a trespass or something like that. And so it's hard to really pinpoint. It's hard to know really what I'm talking about because it's hard to identify because you think you're doing it yourself, but it's like all those times you thought you were going crazy and someone saying, just suck my dick, just men's dick, but I don't want to. And then all of a sudden you look back and you say, why am I sucking men's dicks? It was my fault. And it's like maybe the first time it was, you wanted to know what a penis felt like in your mouth. Everyone can use that excuse one time at a party or anywhere. You know what I mean? Use that as an excuse one time that you just wanted to know what it felt when a dick was in your mouth. But as far as like how you you were persuaded, you were fucked with to keep that dick in your mouth. You know what I'm saying? That lollipop should have fucking ended and shit like that. Now you're addicted to fucking lollipops. It was Satan. There is